Good morning, welcome to the beautiful fishing town of Aldeburgh. It's on the East Anglian coast in Suffolk, about an hour from home, and I haven't been here for so long. Thought I'd give it a go. So today's video, I'm going to, sounds a bit clickbaity, I apologise for that, but it's actually true. The number one thing that you need to do to improve your photography is to get out and do photography. Now, today's a case in point. Last night, we had Storm Ida, absolutely battering things. It was blowing. I was out putting things against things, making sure the greenhouse was all right. Doors were bolted as much as I could, putting wood on top of stuff. And it was very tempting this morning when I woke up not to come out. And I don't have to come out, I didn't have to come out, I could have just stayed in bed. But if you don't come out, you don't take pictures. You can't take a seascape from the comfort of your bed. So I decided that I wanted to come out. The weather forecast looked okay. It's certainly better than tomorrow, and I've only got 2 days worth of days where I can get photography in this week. So it was either day or tomorrow. Today looks better. I was promised broken cloud. You can see that there is a bank of cloud and then sky. So I've been to Aldeburgh a few times, and I've always found it really difficult to photograph because there's nothing much here apart from a shingle beach. You can see that even with high tide, and there's some fantastic waves coming in, obviously following in the storm. We'll talk about that in a second. I know that I'm going to be completely safe in this beach because there's so much shingle on here that's been pushed up that even high tide doesn't get anywhere near us. So it's a hard place to photograph, but it's full of these little broken down boats that are sat on the beach. There's lots of fishing going on, lots of lobster pots, crab pots, etc, etc along the beach. And today is not going to be, I don't think, a picture about a wonderful sunrise. If there had been broken cloud and the sunrise would be was really spectacular, it would still work because I've got some foreground to use. But even without it, I can still take some nice abstracts, and I'm going to use probably a wide open aperture to photograph some boats, throw the background out of focus to make it more interesting. Let's see what I can get out of here then. I don't know whether you can see it just over my shoulder here, but there's a big shell, a big metal shell on the beach, which is an artwork which lots of people photograph, but I've never really been attracted to it. I've never photographed it. I don't really like it. No offence to the artist who made it, because it's a wonderful piece of work. It's such a lovely quiet place when you're not in the height of summer. The sea smashing against these stones sounds wonderful, and that's really good. So as you can see, there's loads to explore. These two boats here, one here and one here, which have just been laying on this beach for a long time, make really interesting subjects because of the texture of the wood, the colour of the wood against the lovely peaceful sunrise. And there's not a cloud in the sky behind you, just a big bank on the horizon, which means that the sun, when it's come up, has been completely covered. So not a lot of colour. There is a little bit in the sky, but this is going to be about abstracts. It's going to be about taking details, which I hope you'll enjoy. Just talk you through this shot. Look at the colour on this boat, and they're beautiful, aren't they? I want to try and get a picture with, or an image with this major boat here, then the smaller one, and then there's a black shed there. I know you can see it. Kind of that. I'm going to use a very long telephoto for this, focusing really on the colours at the front of this boat, but also just getting in the shed. And the only thing I don't really want, which I don't think I'm going to be able to avoid too much, might if I get low down actually, are the windows in the hotel. That works well. So I'm focusing on this front little boat. There's some beautiful colour on it, really lovely. And then we've got the red boat, or the boat with the red top behind it, using f6.3. Shutter speed's going to go up a little bit more, 15th of a second, ISO 64, 1 second delay. And there we go. Lovely, really like that. Right, I'm going to move further forward this way and see if we can do some little detail shots of the lobster pots. What a wonderful place. And actually, the fish and chips here, highly recommend. They're absolutely wonderful. So the sun is out, the light is out, the sun has risen over that bank of clouds, which now look like it's disappeared. It's still there, you just can't see it. And what I want to do now, I'm right on high tide. I explained to you earlier, this is high tide, but because of this steep bank up here, the water doesn't get on the beach. But what I want to do is play with some slowish shutter speeds, something around a 15th of a second, and just photograph these crashing waves to try and get some abstract. I mean, there's some photographers who do marvellous things with this, and I've never tried it. So it's about getting the camera down low on a tripod and just focusing on the waves that come in, and as they're smashing and breaking, we're using a 15th of a second to blur some of it and to freeze some of it to get some really interesting abstracts. So let's see how we get on with that. I'll video myself doing it. I'll video myself doing it, and I'll show you the images in a second. It's actually not a bad day. It's really nice. The fact we had a storm last night means these waves are really bashing, but it's quite calm. Although we do ever so often get a really mad wild gust of wind, which I have to be careful with the cameras, because we know what happens if the camera isn't level and it blows. If you haven't seen last week's video, go and have a look at that. That'll explain what I mean. Right, let's get going with this. This is really not easy because I'm out of my comfort zone here, but what I've decided to do is put the camera on shutter speed priority. That will mean I can set 15th of a second, 8th of a second, and it will sort the aperture out for me. I'm on the ISO 64, so that's still working. And I'm also going to put the camera on motor drive, so I'm going to take a few shots of this as I go along. High frame I think is what we need, which I've now set, and it's knowing where to focus really, because it's watching the waves as they come in, and just hoping that we get something in frame. I think we're going to have to crop this anyway. I want some of those big breakers to come out of there. Here we go, this looks better. Not easy, not easy at all. There's some better ones over there because the wind is blowing them, so I think I might move down the beach a little bit. And this beach, even though it's quite steep, the bit I'm on is quite flat, so every so often, there we go, that's quite nice. We get a, every so often, wait a second, there we go. Oh, you want the bits that fly out, I think. Every so often we get a wave like this, which just keeps us the other side of the tripod. Right. Oh, ambi back's gone. Here we go. That looks good. Yeah, I need them when they splash up. I think that's what we need, and there's definitely more over that way, so let's move. Okay, so that's better. There's some better waves there, I think. Rachel Tennybart is a photographer that does this, and she's absolutely fantastic at it. I hope to get something close. That's definitely working. I think we're going to crop this in, which is why a 45 megapixel sensor is good. I've also got some backlighting with the sun, which is proving to be really nice. Wow, that's cool. Look at that. These are good. So I'm going to call it a day there. It's been a lovely day out. I've really enjoyed this. A very different kind of photography for me, but remember the lesson. Remember this number one thing. If you don't get out of bed and get out on location, you won't get any pictures. So whatever the weather, whatever the conditions, okay, if you've got a choice, choose the better day if you can, choose the better conditions if you can, but if you've only got one day to take photographs and those are the conditions you're faced with, then that's what you have to do. Go and shoot it, and the idea is to see what you can come up with the conditions you face, and the more you are out in nature, the luckier you'll get and the better your pictures will be. So until next week, thanks ever so much for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't. Go and check out the rest of the videos on the channel. There are lots of them to look at. And I will see you next Sunday, 6 o'clock. Until then, take care. Goodbye.